Is very special. We have a guest who is a close friend I've known for 6 years now in advocacy and is doing amazing work as the executive director of Minority Veterans of America. They are at the center of a lawsuit that is surrounding VA abortion care, reproductive health care at the VA. So, Lindsay, welcome and thank you for being here.
Hi, happy to be here and thanks for having me. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's so good to see you. I was happy that you wanted to come on and talk to us about this, and I'm sure Lisa is happy to see you as well, and Sam and Steph. So I just want to hop right into it so we can get into how did we get here to this court case exactly? Like, can you explain this to us a little bit about the history and why are we here?
Yeah, so a little fun history lesson and apologies for anybody who's not a policy nerd. So first and foremost, VA has had a historic abortion ban. So many agencies are covered by what's called the Hyde Amendment, which means like you can't use public funding for abortion unless it's rape, incest, or threat to the life of the person. And VA has had a total ban, like no anything, no exceptions, no anything, just a total ban all the way up until 2022, which obviously we know the Roe v. Wade decision changed a lot for a lot of people, and state level policy changed a lot of people's lives. And veterans live all over the country. Many live in places like Texas and Florida, South Carolina, and just different states that have different levels of laws. And VA was trying to figure out how to be a backstop. So in 2022, the Biden administration issued after the Dobbs decision when Roe v. Wade fell, and there was, every state could have a free for all about what they were going to make their abortion policies. Um, the Biden administration issued what's called an interim final rule, which rulemaking is very boring, and we're going to touch on it a little bit. But they issued what's called an interim final rule, meaning that there was a unique public health crisis that meant that they had to put the policy in place right away. And they moved forward with the rulemaking process from there. But at that point, they were offering abortion and abortion counseling in the instances of rape, incest, and threat to the life and health, which was the big stipulation that people were very upset about it. Hey, you could possibly need to protect your health and like maybe your ability to have a child in the future. And all of those things would be considered. There was a big hoopla because it wasn't in line with the Hyde Amendment, which had said that it was only life, not health. So they issued this rule. It went into effect right away. They codified the rule by the rest of the rulemaking process, did public comment, which is required. We have this thing called the Administrative Procedure Act. It's how every agency makes their own rules. And so it requires that they issue a new rule and that there's public comment and it's open for 90 days. And then they take those policy comments and then they take them and use them to make the rule better. And so this is why rulemaking exists, is so that public has the opportunity to say this actually would provide better or worse care, and this is what you should be considering when doing it. And the government is required to respond to comments because that's the government's job, is to make sure that it properly addresses the comments that are done through rulemaking. And so after rulemaking, the rule became policy of the agency. Now, what people should know is that rulemaking is not Congress passing a law. Congress gives the agency a broad authority to provide health care to veterans. And there are stipulations, obviously, legislation, things like that, that change that. But when you have the broad authority to provide health care to veterans, you're not going to cover everything. Congress doesn't have time to cover every single minute detail. The agency itself makes its own rules. And so in the process, they made the rule that allowed for abortion and abortion counseling. And up until that point, in all of VA's history, they had never provided either abortion or about abortion counseling. So say you become pregnant, they didn't offer any type of counseling about what your options are, where you live, what you need. Didn't become a problem because they kept saying we could point you to the public health administrations, like we could point you to Planned Parenthood or somewhere else so you could get that access to care because of Roe v. Wade. Well, when that went away, people were like, wait, where am I going to get that access to care? So that's why the interim final rule, that's why the whole thing. So obviously when the administration changed, so did a lot of things. I'm sure you all have seen some things changing. One of them being that they were very early on. Secretary Collins was brought in for his confirmation hearing, was asked questions around whether or not he would change the rule. And he said, I'm going to look at the legality of the process, but never said that he would overturn the rule. He said, I'm going to look at whether or not it was legal for them to change the rule to begin with. Never said I'm going to touch abortion, just said I'm going to look at whether or not it was legal. And so they confirmed him, knowing that he was intending from the beginning to take a shot at this rule. Um, Over last year, around August, they issued a proposed rule, and that proposed rule is what everybody is, in August there was getting ready for rulemaking, and which meant that we were going to give public comment. Well, that rule was abortion counseling is banned. No one at all, no doctors talking to people about what your options are, just a total ban on abortion counseling, which is like the bare minimum of anything that we can offer anybody is like, hey, you've got this health concern, you've got these things going on, you should know what you have access to. But that was like cut altogether. And the proposal was to overturn abortion for anyone. They said no exceptions, no rape, no incest, and no. We promise we'll save veterans' lives. I promise. Just pinky swear you're good here, and we don't need to write that into policy. The health exception or the life exception, duh, we'll save your life. Which nobody, if you've been to VA and you've had a problem with VA, nobody trusts that. Like nobody trusts something not in writing. Nobody trusts something that's not required, that's not actually policy to save your life. And they say we don't need that. And so they issued the proposed rule. They engaged in rulemaking, tens of thousands of comments. There were over 20,000 comments that were issued of veterans who were like, hey, I I use VA for my care. I could be raped or sexually assaulted and would maybe need to go to VA for that access to care. Hell, I'm more likely to be sexually assaulted at a VA facility and turn around and then not have access to that care. And so people were like pointing to the veterans have unique health indicators. People start pregnancy like way later. We have toxic exposure. We're missing body parts. Like just a litany of concerns among all of the things, including this is offensive to the people that have worn the uniform. Now, the government is required to take those comments and do something with them. They didn't. They just kind of said, well, the DOJ over the holiday that nobody was paying attention to said you no longer have the authority. And then all of a sudden, VA's policy was changed and there was an abortion ban over the holidays while everybody was gone and sleeping. And it was just overnight, just gone. Um, so they finished their rulemaking process and they did not address most of the comments. They just said, this is the policy and this is what we're moving forward with. So abortion now is banned. Abortion counseling, no exceptions, even though sexual assault survivors who are survived sexual assault are more likely to be sexually assaulted in their future. And we, among all people, know that sexual assault is such a prevalency in among military and veteran communities. Like this is highly offensive what's happening and illegal. So that's the long story of how we got here, but all of it comes down to rulemaking. We have a way in which we make rules for this country, and it was not followed. Our lived experiences were not considered about whether or not this was changed. It was simply, this is what we're going to do. This is what we believe the law is, and this is our interpretation. Goodbye.
I mean, well, fuck. They fucked us, man.
They really did.
Jesus. And I know, the four of us, Sam, obviously is not included in this. Sorry, Sam. Are
Hey, listen, toxic exposure, men need to understand this. Men, do you know that Heath Robinson, the pack dog, like namesake, he was off, like his wife became pregnant at one point and they told him his genetics had changed and they would continue to lose children over and over again. Like this is not just a women veteran issue. I just need to be very clear.
Oh no,
You're talking about, yeah.
I was going, Lindsay, I was going to the point that we all worked in the MST space together.
Oh, got it. Yes, correct.
But that was such an interesting point. Like, holy shit, Sam, did you know that?
So I know that the effects of Agent Orange are still plaguing Vietnam, and so like the exposure that we have encountered definitely does have detrimental effects like down the line.
Mm-hmm.
The specifics, no, but like in the general concept of it, yeah. You know, like I think we're all in fear of our colon at this point.
Yeah. I
So
mean, if you think
that,
about the PACT Act and the fact that dependents can even file under the PACT Act because they can be affected by, especially some of the toxic exposure from Camp Lejeune.
There were major birth defects among Gen X, like kids of people who have been exposed to Agent Orange, like birth defects coming out there. Nobody really studied it or cared about it because, like, well, the veterans are having kids, so it's fine, right? Well, nobody really cared about whether or not those veterans lost their pregnancies, ended up having kids with fetal anomalies. Listen, military has high exposure rates just in general, and then you put somebody in a in a toxic exposure situation that are now coming home to have those kids, like to have children. We're all of that age that well, I started a little late. My one's 2 years old, and I'm very tired. But like, people are of that age that they're starting to consider that, and men are just as much impacted because, like, just because you think that you're not impacted because you don't have a uterus, your wife, your spouse, person you like, partner, whatever, could eventually need the access to care. And I'll get into a little bit about like why I know that from a personal experience, like that those pregnancies change on a dime. And you don't want to be fighting the VA for whether or not they should care for your spouse while also losing your child.
I agree with that. And as Lindsay, I know you on a personal level, and I started late as well, so I have a 3-year-old.
I'm
But
tired too because I'm real tired.
yeah, bro, ours is almost 4. But when we were going through IVF, it was an interesting conversation to have with that doctor, being chem bio, right, in the army, being like, I will not carry.
Right.
Like I don't care that you think I'm great and my uterus is super healthy. like it's an odd thing, but no. And it was a very, very odd conversation to have with an
Well,
IVF doctor.
vaccines, black mold, the environmental factors of just having you. How many times were you all told don't touch the ceilings? Don't touch the ceilings, don't put anything in the walls. And it was because they had encapsulated all of the like asbestos that they were keeping us living next to. Like, the number, like, I went to language school in Monterey, California, and all of the like poor enlisted kids lived at Fort Ord. Well, Fort Ord is condemned. Oh, you're muted. Hold on. Go back.
You know who else lived at Fort Ord, Lindsay? Us married folks.
Yep.
You know what just got linked for my cancer? Living at Fort Ord.
They literally put us around trash. They burned garbage. They put us in, do you know all of the things that came out about Fort Ord? Like, behind all of the walls, they found all the black mold that people were living among. Like, listen, I'm missing 4 ribs and all the cartilage in my chest. I'm not having a child. Like, just the thing, and that's from military service. Like, military service is very challenging on your body. And I was born with a fetal deformity. I was born with my sternum was inverted to the point where it was crushing my heart and lungs. I had to have surgery. That's one of the first reasons that I had surgery. When I was losing our child, or like when we lost our child in 20, literally, you all can't make this up. My wife was pregnant immediately upon, like, while we were waiting the leak decision. We're standing at the Virginia Supreme Court. My wife had just been inseminated with the baby that we would then lose 6 weeks later, or 16 weeks later. And like, when they told us that our baby had a fetal anomaly, I remember every pain, every surgery. I'm now almost 15 deep. I cannot imagine. At one point they were talking about our baby coming home with like their organs in a bag. Like, I no, just simply no. Like, the life that they were talking, like, that somebody would force it, like, my child into, like, it broke everything inside of me because, like, I can't imagine giving them the same life. I'm third generation myself. Like, my family has endured toxic exposure from the military for generations. Like, I'm not doing this to the next generation.
Thank you for sharing that, Lindsay. Because that is, that's the thing that people need to hear, right? Is like those real stories in the moment. Because Lisa knows this. Our oldest has a brain malformation, Dandy Walker syndrome, And I remember sitting at the anatomy scan and them saying that. And in that moment, my wife at the time looking back at me and me saying, her body, her choice, right? Like whatever you choose, I will back you 100%. But, you know, in that moment, decisions are made. And people don't know that until you are in that decision. And so I do want to ask you a little bit about the court case. So can you tell us like the details of the court case of what brought it about?
Yeah, so first, I'm going to get into a walkie policy detail. There is discrepancy among the government about what law applies. There's a 1992 law and a 1996 law, and I'm too much of a legal idiot to know enough to tell you the exact difference between the two. I just know that the government is at odds about which one is precedent and which one says that they can or cannot provide abortion care. So there's argument among the federal government. They cannot decide which law is right. That, like, let that sink in. Number one, like, that the government is arguing about which law is right, and we're over here like, I just need people to have access to make decisions about their own body, and you can't even tell me which law is the correct law that you're going off of. Anyways, our case really does talk about that Administrative Procedure Act. Did they follow the appropriate protocols in order to change this rule and to enact this total abortion ban or this draconian abortion ban? They have like this slight window. They say, oh, they'll save our lives. Don't worry. I just keep hitting on that. I'm like, sure, okay. But it really hinges on whether or not the government did their due diligence, whether or not they abided by the rulemaking process. Our government has to operate within a like set of confines about how we make rules. Otherwise, it's all chaos, and they can do things like, I don't know, were you all around when they were talking about the mental health, like, or like the health things? Like, if you get a little bit better, they're just going to rate you down. And they're just like, cool, this is the new rule. And you're like, this is bananas. And you're just like telling me that this is how it goes. So I think it's really important for all veterans to understand that, like, if you can do a modified rulemaking process here to usurp the will of the people, then know that they can do it for another case too. Like, but this is about whether or not following the process and whether or not the APA actually matters, because all of us are hinging upon them following the right rules in order to be able to make sure that they don't do this in any other case. So really pushing on the APA cases and which precedent, but we also have a member that's pregnant. It's like the crux of it all is that we have many health indicators, many things, and many reasons why this is an important case. And one of our members is pregnant and cannot access that care. And so it makes it urgent. Like, now has to be the time for us to just make this, like, our voices known, like whether or not they'll move through this court case fast enough for this member to get any relief I don't really understand enough. Like I said, I'm a legal idiot, but I know multiple members of my organization are pregnant right now and cannot have access. And if we don't fight this now, I don't know when we will ever see VA actually change its rules. And so the crux of it all is that we have multiple members that are experiencing a pregnancy that they would otherwise need access to care and can't. They have health indicators, they have geographic confines, they live in states where where they have bans and different, some of them have exceeded policies or exceeded the timeline for the place that they live. And so this is very real.
And this is kind of a hard part of it because the environment around all of this is finicky. So like, why should taxpayers who oppose abortion support your position?
I think I want to just go the difference between politics and policy. I don't talk about politics because I don't care about politics. I care about policy.
Right.
Does our policy actually support the people of this nation? I think that's the question that I ask of people that have, concerns about what we spend our money on. Do you actually have concerns about what we spend our money on, or do you have concerns about this particular thing? Because I go back to people having really big feelings about gender affirming care. Okay, well, I'm trans. I did some looking. How much do you all think the average American taxpayer spends on gender affirming care?
Less than $1.
Here. Okay. Anybody else want to throw in?
Yeah, I'll say I'll go between 0 and $1.
0.016 cents. Do
Yeah.
you know that we spent more money to bomb that school in Iran with all of those schoolgirls in it than we do in an annual year in public health programs to spend on gender affirming care? Do you know that VA in its history has probably provided fewer than 250 abortions, and we're over here arguing about whether or not those 250 people's lives matter? I think what we argue about in this country is what they can rile us up about because
Mhm.
politics is ugly. It's disgusting what they do to make people mad at each other. I mean, should our elections $16 billion every 2 years to hate each other and to hold these horrible policy positions that when it comes down to it, I'm telling you, if you are in that room, your spouse is pregnant, your child is pregnant, whatever it is, and their life is in the hands of those people that don't know whether or not they have the legal right to make this call to save your family member's life, like it will matter to you. I tell this as like a person who never thought that I mean, I was always supportive of abortion rights, but never thought that me or my family would need them. And all of a sudden, here my child is, they're talking about our child living with their organs in a bag. And like, that was not like 6 seconds ago, they were having my wife do jumping jacks to see if they could get the baby to move. Like, and now you're telling me like my whole life has changed. And so I hear this like political debate about whether or not this is right, and it's usually related to religious feelings and things that of that nature. I would tell people that if you want to argue, argue about the thing that actually costs you. Like, I don't know, a couple weeks ago they said it was like $600 this year alone that we've paid for the Iran war. Like, if you want to argue, argue about the things that actually cost you money, cost you your like lives, like, and stop letting the politics of it all impact whether or not policy is equitable, whether or not policy reaches the people when they need it most, whether or not it's compassionate, whether or not it's graceful. Like, I'm just like a Care Bear that lives in a land that I want to live in, which is that I want you, Sam, I want you, Steph, I want you, Lisa, I want Katie, to never have to worry about where their health care is going to come from, and that some doctor is just going to relieve them of their ability to get access to care. Like, genuinely, I want us all to live in that world.
I think that was an excellent point and a really good answer. You know, we spend so much money in this country. You know, it really is about riling up the base. You know, like I don't know if we talked about it earlier, but I'm running as a candidate against Joe Wilson in South Carolina's second congressional district in the Republican primary. And I'm an international politics major. I hate domestic politics. It's ugly. It's gross. I serve my country because I love my country and the people in it, and it's the hate that drives me nuts. And so I've tried to be very purposeful in this campaign to not be disparaging, but to try and build unity. But I mean that's what 50-51 is really all about. Is identifying the threat that's in front of us, autocracy, fascism, and the like, and really rebuild that unity. So excellent answer. Thank you.
So let me ask a question. If the Supreme Court eventually takes this case, right, and rules against you, what do you think that this is going to mean for access, like for veterans, like overall?
Yeah, I think as of right now, it won't change much. If the biggest, so one, there's a couple of things that come out of a court decision no matter what. One is clarification on what is the law of the land, because like, I don't know, like, how do we ever get to a place where the policy, we understand the policy and we can challenge it? It actually has to come from some clarification on what the policy actually is and what is actually allowed. And so some of that the clarification is important to us, like as a fight in moving forward, because without that clarification, we're just sitting here fighting about whether or not we like, there's people will tell you don't try because you might lose the ability for the next administration to come in and change the policy overnight, and you can do the exact same thing. The ambiguity has afforded us fewer than 200 abortions since the 60s, 50s, 40s. We literally, that ambiguity, to anybody with a uterus or anybody who loves somebody with a uterus, that ambiguity has gotten us very little. And if we want to move this forward, we actually have to do it ourselves because Congress hasn't taken action and has had many iterations and many generations of Congresses to do that, to take action, to figure out which law is right, and to even just pass some policy that says the VA can provide abortion. And any of those things, it was within congressional authority, and yet they have yet to use that congressional authority and actually move anything forward. So in the absence of Congress helping us to do this and being able to actually move that policy forward, veterans are standing up and saying, hey, look, this is actually we're living these lives. We're living these day-to-days, we're living these fears, we're living these things. And there's a possibility that we win, there's a possibility that we lose. Losing obviously codifies the policy. They say this is what the 92, 96 APA, all of it. But it also gives us the opportunity to try to keep fighting, to keep pushing on this, because until we have that clarity, and no matter what the outcome of the case is, until that clarity comes, veterans are going to continue to lose. Because who's fighting? Politicians. Literally just politicians yelling at each other about like whether or not this is right. And every veteran, as soon as you start really talking to them about like what we all deserve, they get it. So it's disappointing that it's going to take a group of veterans to really push this forward, but I don't think anybody's surprised that it's going to be a group of veterans that are going to push this forward.
I think, and I've said this plenty, like endemically, like to our group and just overall, and you'll agree with this, right? It's like we're our own best advocates, right? Like I'm so tired of politicians using us as photo ops and saying that they help, but then when the time actually comes to help and give us the care that we need, they don't, right? Or the fact, or they don't have the money, or we're shifting money from home loans to do this, or but
The set asides, how are you going to get the balancing act? Basically, if you want a few $100,000, you have to find a few $100,000 elsewhere, but somehow they always find money for war. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
right. And I was gonna go there. It's like you brought it up. Is like, hey, we're bombing children currently,
Correct.
and uh, we have money for that. We don't have money to feed the troops overseas or take care of them
It's
because
expensive to feed people.
yeah, it's too expensive to care, but we need you in this post on Instagram so that we vote for you continually and fuck ourselves, right?
Right.
And we as veterans need to like start collecting power amongst ourselves, and it doesn't matter about your ideology. It matters that we need to stop voting against our own best fucking interest because we're gonna vote ourselves out of our benefits.
I mean, the entire VA is going to collapse if people don't stop voting for anybody that's going to privatize VA. Like, it's just the reality of the situation that, like, we're voting against our own damn rights every single time, or we being I'm not voting against my rights. I'm very clear what I'm voting for. But, like, as a community or collective, we're not doing a great job of saying that, hey, we probably shouldn't cut VA off at its ankles, even though it's not working well.
Lisa, you're muted. Boop, 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 boop.
Thank you. Lindsay, let me ask you, because we're talking about veterans having to advocate for themselves. Minority Veterans of America advocates for veterans of color, women, LGBTQ plus veterans, religious minorities. Where do you see the greatest disparities in the VA system today?
That's a really great question. I've been watching everything happening, obviously, since the beginning of January of last year. And listen, they make talking points out of people like me. They really hate the trans community. They hate women, but it's like a little quieter. I actually just think the agency itself is sicker than we think. And all of us are the people, when I think about minority vets, socioeconomics matters in this conversation, that like a lot of people in our community use VA because they have to, because there are no other options, because they can't afford outside healthcare, because they can't, like there's a litany of reasons why, even if you don't want to choose VA, you have service connected disabilities, it costs too much. Like the VA system is your backstop for everything from your service connected disability to reproductive healthcare, to gender affirming care, to when you use an all encompassing system, when that system stops being able to provide for you, your whole life is upended. And so yes, minority veterans are experiencing, and I could give you a long list of like community by community, what's happening, most of them related to discrimination. But the overarching theme that I'm seeing is that the VA is crumbling. There is very little pushback against the privatization efforts, that community care is the only way. People are literally telling me you have to go to community care for primary care because my clinic can no longer use my appropriate pronouns. Like, this program is way more expensive. It is not easy to use, and all of my my records are everywhere. I can't understand how to use it. And so people are actually just not going to care anymore because it's too hard. It takes too much time. They don't want to use community care. They trusted their VA for the flimsy trust that that was. But my greatest concern for the minority of that community is that VA itself will start to disappear if it's not already too far gone. My concern is that benefits payments are going to be harder to come by because you've already seen it. The medications, like if you're getting better, we're going to take away some of your disability benefits. And like, sure, they pulled it back after a very quick clapback, but they showed that they can do it and they're willing to. And all of this like talk of like, one day we'll just like put it back. You can't put it back. There's no coming back. There's no going back to something that we knew before. There's no fixing it. There's only reimagining what VA should be from here because they've decimated everything. I mean, the work will work for like, how many of you all have heard from providers that like are hating their lives but love us so much that they stick around? They're going to have PTSD. Like, they're going to
Yeah.
have things that mean that they can't stay in the workplace, like their early retirements, walking away from healthcare altogether. Like, this whole ecosystem that we rely on, and the veteran community, yes, but the minority veteran community, because of socioeconomics, because of geography, all of the things, relies on it more heavily. If it's just gone, the people who are going to hurt the most are minority veterans. It's the people, and also rural veterans. Rural veterans, do not discount how much rural veterans are in trouble if this collapses. And this is where I'm like, farm workers unite, and with the minority veteran community, like let's all get together and figure out how this works, because the same people that we're supporting are hurting from this. But then you look at rural health, you look at folks that are like, there are people who literally live in parts of the country where every part of their like the healthcare system is shutting down, have to go everywhere you go, like flying into with a helicopter. Like, this is not cheaper, this is not better, this is not safer, and doesn't produce better outcomes. And if we don't all figure out a way to fight back against this, by the time that we flip over to whatever it is that somebody thinks someday is going to fix this, there won't be a VA.
I agree 100%, especially about the rural VAs. And I know Steph rose her hand. I was just at the Lake City VA again, the ER. And every time I go to that VA, I'm like, please don't keep me here, because the last time they kept me for 5 days, they asked me my blood type. And I was like, what?
Why do
And
you not know my blood type?
and like, and I had to tell them, and they were like, "We don't have your blood. We don't have a cardiologist. We don't have a mental health care team." Like, I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like, oh God. And
It's worse than people think.
yeah, it is. It's absolutely 100% falling apart. But I do know that you've spent years like pushing for equity focused reforms. So, which reform has produced measurable results, and like what's disappointed you in your time in advocacy?
Okay, so measurable results. I think the fight that we all started, like how we got to know each other, the MST work that we did together, I think has produced some of the strongest results. Mostly when you think, so I want people to, yes, Pete Hegseth has destroyed damn near anything that he could, but I just want people to imagine what would have happened had we not gotten those reforms through before a Pete Hegseth. I think a lot about like what the military could be today had we not gotten the chain of command changed, had we not gotten the Office of Special Trial Counsel, had we not gotten the 100 and something reforms that the IRC did. Like, had we not done XYZ all the way through like bullet point number 300, imagine what he would have been destroying today. I think that is the most underrated policy change that happened in the like 2020s, was how much reform effort went into the Department of Defense between 2021 and 2024. There was, sure, it was quiet. Most people were focused on literally anything else, but those reforms are now still paying dividends to the service members who are living through hell right now. When we think about that, even just the Office of Special Trial Counsel existing because it has to, like, you can't take it away, sir. And I mean that with no due respect. But like, you can't just take it away. Like, you can't just undo it because it's done by legislation. It was done by a bipartisan support. Like, there was a lot of cultural change that happened. There were a lot of legal changes. There was a lot of legislative changes. Like, our laws, policies all changed, all to the betterment of what would happen today. And so I think that's the most underrated policy change that not enough people really know about. It's all of the reform efforts that happened as a result of Vanessa Guillen's murder and all of the work that that happened after that. The most disappointing one, and please let me finish before you tell me that I'm insane, but Deborah Sampson. There was a lot of work that happened. It was a bill called the Deborah Sampson Act, and it was passed in 2019 by Democrats in Congress because the Republicans literally left the meeting. They were like, you'll still have quorum, you'll still pass it, but we're not going to be here to even vote for it. So they just walked out of the room. It was hilarious. I was like, okay, this is how we play it. But it was like the largest, change for women veterans in American history. There had never been an omnibus that had to do with women, and it was a huge like accomplishment. And I won't say that all of Deborah Sampson was like for not, but I think about the things that Deborah Sampson was supposed to do, the spirit, the letter of the law and the spirit of the law, and what the agency did were completely different. Like, when there's a section called 5303, and it has to do with sexual assault and sexual harassment prevention. And just, if you look at the numbers of sexual assaults happening on campuses at VAs today, the number's going up, not down, and it has since we started investing in reform efforts. There is a truly corrupt and rotten part of VA. Do you know that more like one person is assaulted at a VA per day, like sexually assaulted per day across the VA facilities? Like, that number has not gone down. It actually got worse. The number of safety incidents is like 1.5. Like, it's gotten worse and worse and worse, no matter how much investment we've made in the problem of sexual assault and sexual harassment on the VA side. Why? I think it's because genuinely nobody gives a shit about veterans. Like, they barely cared about service members who are being raped and sexually assaulted. And then you said veterans, and they're like, good luck, Godspeed. We don't want anything to do with that. And so they just, like, the American public doesn't seem to really care that we're now in this position where at least one person a day is sexually assaulted on a VA campus. If they became pregnant as a result of the sexual assault that they endured, they could go to the VA ER, and the VA ER would say, I can't help you because we just changed the abortion policy. And like, how unjust it is that this is a healthcare, this is a hospital, you could be raped at, and you could go to the ER, and that hospital would then not help you. That shit fucks me up. I can't get past it.
I think that fucks me up too, just because I know someone that I think Steph knows, the same person here in Florida, that was sexually assaulted at a VA, right? And has been fighting the VA tooth and nail for years about that issue. And, I think you said it so eloquently, right? Is people just tend not to give a fuck about veterans. It was very hard to get people to care about sexual assault in the military, even though someone was brutally fucking murdered and it was all over the news. I remember when we were trying to advocate for the I Am Vanessa Guillen bill, and me calling Republicans and them saying rape is not in my wheelhouse. And rape is in all of our fucking right, like all of our wheelhouse.
And like, have you heard of a call to men? Because they sound like you need to talk with them.
It's insane, because I know you know this, but for our viewers who are watching, and Sam probably doesn't know this, is we all knew Vanessa Guillen's name, but it wasn't the only name that year. right? Is like we started collecting names to be like, oh, let's collect the data, let's look at this. And it was like a Natasha Potion, you had Elder Fernandez.
Well, do you
Like it,
remember when they had Teu in solitary confinement during 2020 for like months
Oh yeah.
for her safety?
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's wild, right? And you lead minority veterans, and that's how like we met each other. And so I do want to kind of ask you a question about just the phrase minority veteran, because people think of that and I think they tie it to something very like small, right? Like let's use the
Mm,
trans community. Like
mm.
that's the minority veteran you're helping. Can you kind of expand on like minority veteran, the term, and
Yeah.
what issues like unite them, and what issues create tension within the coalition of minority veterans?
Yeah, I think that we have a definition of what, like the idea of minority and underrepresented is a different concept than most folks. We work on race, gender, sexual orientation, and religion, and we came to this understanding when we started it was 2017, and we had seen the first women. So it was the first year of the Women's March. That was the year of the Muslim ban. That was the year of the trans ban, along with so many other what I call the first administration's greatest hits of like just watching these communities experience these extreme marginalization and discrimination. And it was just like, cool, we're just like fine with this. And so when you look at the military community, there's like this idea that the military is like a very cisgender, heteronormative, like white dude field. And like, look at us, hello, we're not, don't, hello. But there's like, when we first started, there were about 18 million veterans. And when you start to actually break down, like, there's 2 million women, 5.5 really 5.5 million racial and ethnic minorities. There are at least 1 million LGBTQ veterans. There's like 1.6 million religious minorities or people that identify as not Christian. And when you put that together, you actually find out that by the definitions of like minority and underrepresented, more than half of the military falls into one of these categories alone. And then you add in neurodivergence, you add in accessibility, you add in poverty, you add in all of these different pieces around like uh, you find that the military is more minority than you think. And so we started working together. I had run an American Legion post before this, and it was quite traumatic. It's also running a student veteran organization, and my dear friend from college, Catherine Pratt, and I came together through working on like diversity committee stuff. It was like 20, we were young. And she and I came together, and she's a Korean American woman veteran. She's also a rocket scientist and the smartest person that I know, still to this day. Like I've known her for over 10 years at this point. Still the smartest person I know. She didn't know if she did not know if she was a veteran legally by the definition to be able to apply for college. She like looked it up. She was like, I'm not. Her dad's this like really tall white dude, and her mom's like a Korean American woman, and like her dad is the veteran, her mom is not, and she just couldn't. She didn't go to combat. She didn't. She's not like a all of the things that people imagine to be veterans. She didn't know if she fit, and so she's literally the smartest person I know. Looking up in a dictionary or like whatever Wikipedia article, whether or not she actually meets a legal definition of a veteran to apply for college. It was here that like her experience as a Korean American woman, my experiences then I was still identifying as woman, but as a queer and trans non-binary person, like our experiences don't look the same. I don't understand what it feels like to live in a multiracial household. I don't understand what it's like to have a dad that's a veteran. My mom was a veteran, so like very different experiences. I served under Don't Ask, Don't Tell though, and this was we started 12 days after the trans ban when I was like, no, fuck no, we're not doing this again because how many of us served under Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and we'll never go back. Like fuck that, never going back. I will fight until the end of my breaths to make sure that the policy is rescinded, even how I don't care how long it takes, but like we lived through that. We knew what it felt like. We knew what it feels like to actually be legally allowed to be discriminated against. That's the thing that like really unites our communities is like Sikh people in the military couldn't wear turbans or wear their head coverings. Muslims couldn't wear head coverings. Women weren't able to be more than 1 or 2% of the military. then the combat challenges, and then challenging again whether or not combat is allowed, or whether or not women can be in combat. You used to actually have colored units of the military. Like every category of folks, like identity folks, like you will find that there was a legal barrier, like a legal bar to discriminate against certain classes. So that is what unites us. Like we will never understand what it feels like to live across communities and experiences, but what we do know is marginalization, what we do know is discrimination, and we know how that lives in our lives after that. One of the hardest things to do is build a coalition. Like 5051 is probably not any stranger to just building coalitions is hard. And when you have so many people coming from so many different places, from so many different experiences, it can feel like a competition. Like I need this, you need this, and this is all you talk about. So like it creates this tension, and how do you prioritize can be challenging at times, and how to figure out how to make sure you have enough voices at the table to represent as many experiences. It can be a really deep challenge because not everybody's experiencing the same thing right now, like, or ever. Like when we look at who's experiencing what right now, like everybody's in a different boat. Like everybody's in a, I mean, if you're lucky, if you're in a boat, then there's other people that are literally just holding on to a paddle or a door, asking Rose not to let go. Like this is a very different life that we're all experiencing, and so I think some of those tensions have been more pronounced, especially in the last couple of years, because like as things get harder for each community, I feel like a lot of us are really turning insular. Like I understand this problem because I experience it, and I only want to be around other people who experience it and not actually figure out how to build stronger coalitions because we're like tired of explaining ourselves and tired of trying to work across this. And I have like this strong encouragement to folks to not give up trying to work across boundaries, like try to bring together communities that I call it the linking arms strategy. Like if we don't figure out how to link arms, then we're all gonna die here. Like we just the reality of the situation is figure out how to link arms with somebody that you trust and somebody that you can build community with because you need it. We can't do this alone. And we have to figure out how to work through some of these coalition dynamics that make it really hard to advocate for rights. Or we can just give up. I mean, I'm not giving up to fascism anytime soon, but some people might. Like, we have to be able to figure out how to work together here and come back to a place that we actually are building a table and not just throwing chairs.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that's what's weirdly unique about like us, right? Like a lot of people don't know, like 5051 Vets is truly nonpartisan. Is like we have Republicans all the way to anarchists in our group, and we love having like ideological discussions amongst ourselves. Just because, yeah, like how, like the world is fucking on fire. And Lindsay, you're right. Like if we don't link arms and figure it the fuck out, especially in the veteran community, right? Is everybody looks to us for leadership and romanticizes the military still. And so, like in some spaces, I saw that like some of the shades of blue hate us, and it's understandable. But the coalition building is unique, even within the veteran community, right? Is that we all have different beliefs, we all have different niches of advocacy that we work in, and the fact is like we're in fascism like right now. Like authoritarianism is the name of the fucking game, and it doesn't matter your shade of blue or your shade of red as long as your red is not fascist. Like we all like have to figure it the fuck out, right? And so I love that you said that about like just it's difficult, it's messy, but it's necessary work. And it's fun sometimes to learn from somebody very, very different than yourself, like such as Sam, right? Like Sam is a white male Republican here on this talking about abortion. Never thought it would happen. I love that Sam's here, right? Is like, not to call you out, Sam, but I think it's great. Is like we have a weird like conglomerate of people here tonight talking about abortion issues at the VA because it matters to our community. And it's something that we have to talk about across ideological lines, across belief systems to affect change, right? Is I think your point about like what we did in the sexual assault realm, yeah, it's not talked about enough. right? Because that was lasting policy change of what we did for like generational change. And so we need to come together more on that, right? Is like affect generational change in coalition building across ideological lines. And I love that. I'll stop talking because I saw Lisa talking. Sorry.
Lisa's like, no, it wasn't me.
No, it wasn't me, but I do believe Sam has a question that's going to kind of loop back around here.
Oh God, but which one? So we had two. We had two. Like both of them. Like it's such excellent points, you know, and really when they said, "Hey, we want a little bit extra in the space tonight, and it's a sensitive topic," I volunteer as tribute, right? Because I know what I am. I'm not like I taught social studies, right? Like I have a degree in political science, international politics, military affairs, right? Like I know what I know and I know what I don't know. And I know when there's things that I am unaware of but possess the understanding of empathy to need to go into those spaces and hear those voices because it's so much more than a talking point. It's so much more than an amorphous thing. Like these are lived experiences, they're human experiences, and they're damned rough sometimes. You know, and so kind of where I'm going with that is, you know, tonight's really about this particular court case and VA healthcare involving abortions. How, you know, like as a teacher, we call it like anticipating misconceptions, right? Like when we go into a topic, I need to anticipate what my students are going to misunderstand about the topic and go ahead and front load some information so they don't get hung up on some nuance and miss the broader scope. So, like, what are some of the misconceptions that you're fighting against in this space when you're trying to get people to understand what you want to have happen and the importance of that happening and its influence on the totality of other healthcare within the VA?
That's a really great question. And that, of course, is coming from a social studies teacher, so take that with a grain of salt. I I think that the biggest misconception is that this is political. I don't like when I don't fight politics or political battles like this. Like this isn't about left, right, red, blue, all of that. This is about whether or not you and the people you care about live or die, like in a situation or have access to make decisions about their own bodies. Like this is really genuinely like if you don't care about what happens to a child once they are born, then I don't really think that you get a strong opinion about whether or not my decision making about what happens with my body really counts in the sense like I see a lot of like politicization about this one particular thing about abortion and reproductive health and even abortion counseling. But at the end of the day, like we don't feed children, we don't take care of them, we don't provide health care, we don't provide any like stipends. Like we don't give a shit whether or not a child actually has a quality life. So arguing even about a person that would like to terminate because they know that they are not in the place or in the space to be having a child, like I don't if you don't care about whether that child lives or dies once they're here on the other earth side, then it really just seems like you want to fight about whether or not I get to make the decision about my body. And so I think there's like just this conversation that's not happening about what things are like, what things really mean. And it's all about like abortion is wrong, abortion is murder. And instead of it's like people have reasons to come to this topic and come to this need for this healthcare for a litany of reasons. Anything from me and my wife losing our child in the way that we did, like I didn't know that we were going to need that. Here we are in the middle of all of this. We were called baby killers, y'all. Like I didn't want anything more in my life at that moment than my child to be born. And we're literally being protested at the abortion clinic called baby killers. Like you don't know anything about the issue. You're simply being told that all of this is wrong, and you're going to the abortion clinic to make somebody's worst day worse. And I just find some moral depravity in all of that, that like when you start to hear stories about what people are actually genuinely experiencing, it's not what they tell you in this like whatever handbook that they go give these people to go like yell at the abortion clinic. Like, we're talking about real people, real lives. Like, I have a child now, they're two, fucking chaos machine. And if my wife hadn't gotten access to timely care, she might not have been able to have our child today. When we look at like the reasons why, even in emergency cases, waiting hours for somebody to make a decision about whether or not they have the right to provide that care because their state has some fucked up law, that can cost somebody their life. It can cost them their right fallopian tube. It can cost them their ability to use their uterus in the future. It can cost them sepsis, unnecessary disease, and preventable illnesses. Like, for what? For what? Like, I think that's the big question that I put back to people. For fucking what? Like, what are you actually gaining from this conversation that you're having, taking away people's rights about something that wasn't in the Bible? Because the just like, I just can't. For what? For what? There's some interesting podcasts that actually talk about the rise of religious fighting about reproductive health and Roe v. Wade specifically, that like there was never really a big, strong push by the religious right to move abortion to the places that it did. And there's like one family that's like, Steph, you're nodding. You know the answer. You know what I'm talking about. What's it called?
Oh, I don't know that part. But I know it's but they were all segregationists, and they were losing the fight for segregation. We talked about this on a podcast before, about different stuff, and I think it was about political fervor and everybody like going crazy about it. And basically the segregationists were losing their fight, so they were trying to find another way to cause more power with their people, and they decided that it would be the reproductive health.
It's the Schaefer family.
That's it.
There we go. Thank you. I was like, there was one specific family that like wrote books about it, that did all the things. But prior to that, most people didn't have strong opinions about this. Like, public opinion has been a more modern thing about this particular topic. And even like, if you look at military history, there were planes that flew to Walter Reed to do abortion services because of how much was happening in the military, both by choice and by not choice. I'm like, between the problem of people like doing what they do and people being sexually assaulted, like there was a deep need for the military to be able to maintain its readiness just as much as there is today. So they would fly people to Walter Reed. It was a very different story about what people's views on abortion have been throughout history. But then you look at, there's always like, I think the thing that I was pretty like mortified about is that there really was one family that really kicked off so much of the modern reproductive and abortion fight. And I'm like, how is it possible that we're all living in hell because of the Schaefer family? Like, how is it possible that in the year of our Lord 2026, we're still living in the shadow of the Schaefer family, which most of us have never heard of or know, and yet many of our lives are centered around our rights because of one family in America?
Yeah. To me, it's the biggest one is when actually the Southern Baptist Convention had advocated for reproductive rights with Roe v. Wade prior to actually it happening. And then they confirmed it like 2 or 3 times until the Schaefer family and all of the other stuff started going. And it's just, that always gets me, is people don't realize that. I've been showing people, hey, here's them saying to confirm it. And they're like, oh, no. And
Here we are.
cognitive dissonance.
We're taught so much of I mean, this is where I think it's so important, education in our country. And Sam, as a history teacher, as a political science teacher, like, truth matters here. Like, and most of us aren't getting the truth anymore. Like, we aren't allowed to form like proper opinions about issues because we don't, like, one, now nobody's ever going to be able to because of AI, but like ultimately so much of our policy debates were politicized. And when I say politicized, I mean that they were fighting about it. There's so much to be gained by getting people to be mad on your side against somebody against the other side. And we're not getting truth, we're not getting data. And, in all of this, we're seeing so much of the data being erased. We're not ever going to get truth. We're not ever going to get real truth in these policies. And we're never going to be able to have a really good, solid debate about what this actually means, because we're just being told lies and we're just being told political talking points instead of what happens to our community when we need access to care and we don't get it. happens to our lives when people need access to care through an agency like the Department of Veterans Affairs and can't get it anymore because somebody's religious battle that they had to bring to the Department of Veterans Affairs. I'm going to just point at the Secretary of Veterans Affairs being a pastor. Like, we are literally watching all of that influence happen, and we're not having policy debates, we're having political debates. And my life isn't, my uterus doesn't care about political affiliation. My uterus cares about whether or not I get access to the care that I need. I think most of our uteri don't give a damn whether you're a Democrat or Republican. I genuinely just want to make sure that when I have the need that I do, that I'm able to access care, whatever that looks like. My uterus doesn't talk to me, I promise.
Oh God, that would be amazing. So we are running out of time. So I do want to ask you final wrap up question. It's kind of a two-parter. I know that you have testified before Congress plenty of times. I watch it because I'm a fangirl of yours and a friend, and so I love to cheer you on. And so, two parts. What is something lawmakers consistently misunderstand about veterans? And 5 years from now, as the head of Minority Veterans of America, if you were to look back and say you were a successful leader, what does that look like for you?
Those are both very good questions. I'll start with the congressional one. I think the thing that they mistake so much is that they think that if they know one veteran, they know us all. That so many of us, if you just like one person goes and represents, and that is the overarching veteran voice, this microphone. And it's usually not held by people like us. It's held by people that exist in heteronormative and like very traditional organizations. And they take that and they just use that as their way of understanding the whole community and writing policy. They think that we're all Republicans. They think that we're all like cisgender straight. They think that most of us are white. They think about all of these things and they build policy based off of that. And I like my slogan for the rest of my life will be, as a trans person, I'm just a person who just needs to go to the bathroom and access healthcare. Like, I just like regularly just need to pee in public, and I also like just need to get doctor appointments. And like, that is the most universal thing that you can have about veterans, is that we all need to pee and we all need to get access to healthcare. And yet these things like, they do political polls on like veteran communities, or they're like, veterans are more Republican. And I'm like, actually, most people are just like pretty simple. They just like don't want, much like in the military, they don't want the person to their right and to their left to get hurt, i.e., by policies that don't support them. And they want to get access to the critical things that they need. And so just stop trying to look at us like political talking points. Like, you can just wrap us all up in a sweet little bow and call it a good day that we're all Republicans and we support this. We don't. Actually, many people, I saw, like you were talking about blinking arms. I'm like, we were losing our child in the middle of the time that I was sleeping on the stairs for the PACT Act. I actually had conversations with men about my wife's need for abortion and like fighting them. But ultimately, the most important thing mattered was that we were linking arms to make sure that the people who had been exposed to toxins had access to the care that they needed. Like, because it doesn't matter what you think about this other issue, it's genuinely about, are my friends who are dying going to have access to care? And like, that's what we care about. We don't give a shit about politics. We care about policy. We care about policy debates, and we're being fed political talking points. And so I think that people misunderstand the compassion of veterans. Like, sure, we don't all agree on politics. And at the end of the day, we might argue about whether or not, this Republican or that Democrat was like at fault for what. We're not political people. We just want our people to be taken care of. We want policies that support people. We want people to be able to be cared for by the agency that they were promised. And that's a pretty universal truth. And so that's number one. And then if I look back 5 years from now, I think the answer is, I just hope that we fight with everything that we have for every single thing, no matter what it looks like, no matter how hard it was, no matter how many risks came from it. Like, I see a lot of people that have sat down since 2025 came that are just like, I'm good on this. I'll be back someday. And I'm like, for as long as I have and any color left in my hair, probably even then, like, I'm losing most, I've got mostly gray, but like, we're going to fight every battle that we can, everything that we have legs for, everything that we have the ability to fight for. We're going to keep doing it. And one day my time will come. Either I'm going to retire into the woods and never talk to a single soul again, or I'll die. One of the two, but there's no in between. But I just want to look back at this moment and win or lose, know that we gave every single thing that we could for the folks that thought that everybody had given up to try to fight.
I love that answer. Lindsay, I appreciate you so much for coming on. We look forward to following the court case and following all the fights of minority vets. I know me and Lisa have followed your work since we met you in 2020. And we will continue to, right? And continue to have these conversations to educate the civilian community about some of the issues that veterans are facing, because I think sometimes we silo ourselves and then it's too late because we don't tell the people the help we actually need. And we're like, oh yeah, by the way, they
I
took
like
this.
falling off.
Yeah, right.
Save the penny.
Yeah, same with the penny, which is my new thing. Hyper focused on the penny being lost.
Why is it gone? Why is it gone though?
Because it saves 3 cents on a penny.
But I have questions.
For
I know we
stupid
don't have time for
reasons.
them. I know. What are we going to do with our credit cards? Do they still get pennies?
I don't know. I
I have questions.
so my hyper fixation is the penny on the gravestone for Memorial Day.
Oh shit, I forgot about that.
No shit, right? Didn't we all? Because the world was on fucking fire and
Well,
the penny.
there's a symbolism between the penny, the nickel, and the quarter, I think. What's the penny is like a
Diamond,
stranger.
Dime and the quarter.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
it's all of them. But the penny is specifically is that
It's
you
like,
visited, right?
yes.
Like,
But you didn't know them or
um,
you weren't connected.
and I started hoarding pennies, but I didn't think to mention it to anybody else. And then Katie's like, the fucking penny, right?
Listen, how am I going to pull off my if you have problems with gender affirming care, here's your 2 cents back if there's no pennies? That's my joke. My new thing is that if you have so many problems with the gender affirming care, here's your 2 cents. But we can't. How are we
See?
going to do without a penny? That's
IOUs.
upsetting.
I don't know.
I know. Now, I have spiraled on the penny. Like, trust me,
It's a fair one.
Yeah, right. You're right. I even like looked into minting laws because I was like, can we mint our own penny once they're out of
Ooh.
circulation? And it turns out you can, but that's not for this show.
I am curious when you do that show, make sure you send me the link. And I just want to say thank you all for like just genuinely having a really great conversation, and special shout out to Sam who came here tonight to just ask questions and be curious and hear whatever it is that comes out. So just genuinely thank you.
Thank
Absolutely.
you so much, Lindsay. Be safe, and we will follow minority veterans and hope to see you soon, my friend.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Good night.
So, we are going to move into our next segment for everybody watching because we have somebody backstage. We are going to move into our field report. We do have Tom Seidel, who is the co-founder of Fight Against Fascism.org. He is on the ground at Delaney Hall. Tom, tell us what the fuck is going on at Delaney Hall today.
Well, what we have here is a barrier, goes all the way down. We're like pretty much crowd in front of the facility. There are as many beautiful arts and crafts everywhere. There's about 150 people here. There is still press that smells like absolute dog shit. You can still smell some of the tear gas in the air. So the tent is completely fucking empty. They had to throw everything out. I'm waiting for a list from the family tent so we can figure out what they need all together. People are playing music. It's a really weird moment right now. ICE is kind of like not around. I saw one ICE agent like come outside real fast and was like scoping around. But there's fucking cameras everywhere. There are fucking yeah. There's drones in the fucking sky. I mean, it's surveillance city over here. It's like it's
So
almost like
what's the general vibe? Like the temperature? Like, is it just everybody's kind of calm, or what's the?
everybody is pretty calm for the most part. Um, I think the governor ate shit on this one and figured out that we weren't fucking around. So they're gonna let us fucking have our First Amendment for what it is right now. And if hopefully that ICE keeps their fucking bullshit over there. But we need more people. We need so much more people. We need like thousands of people here so we could fucking say fuck these barriers. Um, yeah, but right now there's not enough numbers so they can control us, and that's I mean respectively. I'm not saying to do dumb shit. What I'm saying is to be civilly disobedient for as you will. But can't do that with 150 people. You know.
Can
Say
I
again.
ask? Let me ask you a question about the detainees. Are there any new demands? They are still on a hunger strike currently.
Yeah, it's still the same demands. There is a lot of health issues happening, um, mental health issues, physical issues, kidney disease, gastro problems, you know, s- suicidal ideation, um, hallucinations. There are tear gassing and macing the detainees inside the facility. They are beating detainees inside the facility. There is, um, I mean, children and women that are coming here not pregnant and then becoming pregnant, out of nowhere. So that means something's happening in the facility that shouldn't be happening. So yeah, it's a concentration camp. You know it's it's slave labor. It's you know it's torture,
Is
and we need to do more.
We do, and that's my next question for you. Is there any direct asks from orgs on the ground, such as Eyes on Ice or the the orgs there?
I think the ask really is to keep the focus on what's what's at hand, right? Let's not cause the police to or ICE to have the upper hand again, right? Um, Understandably, everybody should be angry, right? But don't give them a reason to fuck us up. Let's be tactical. Let's strategize, and let's get enough people out here, enough eyes on, so we can actually, get some progress going. I mean, there has been plenty of progress. I'm not. Let me rewind with myself a little bit. There has been plenty of detainees that have been let out, but not enough. Um, we need definitely more detainees to be let out. This place needs to be shut down. This is a health hazard. This is disgusting, and it needs to fucking end. Yeah, they're still denying families. Jasmine is here with me.
Hey, Jazz.
Jasmine, would you like to speak?
Jazz, can you tell us the demands of the hunger strikers and of the families and any needs of the orgs on the ground?
Yes. So obviously the first man was for to meet with Mikey Sherrill. She could definitely just take her helicopter and come join us. That'd be cute. The next one was to make sure that they would release the sick, the elderly, and the vulnerable and the young. They also were supposed to specifically send in medical access to units 2A and 2B, if I'm believing so correctly. And then give me one second because I just had it in front of my face. But one of the issues that we're seeing, and that was Tom was trying to say, is that even though that they publicly stated that they have given the strikers access to family visitation, there are still families that are being denied and turned away.
And they're also asking for IDs and
Yeah, so they're
identification
scared to come because they're asking for their identification.
so they can snatch more people.
Correct. So it says meaningful review of immigration cases and habeas filings, and then an end to what they describe as coercive pressure to sign deportation or voluntary departure documents.
Okay, so that is a new one I had not heard. Thank you for sharing that last demand. Is there anything, any needs of the orgs on the grounds? I do know that there was a raid of the tent.
Yes,
Can
the
you tell
tent smells god awful. So this whole street does. It kind of seems like they took the few diapers that were there, did their business with them, and then spread them about. That's the best way to describe that. So there is a need for diapers. There is a need for plenty of other things. I know that their drive, they say they typically have diapers picked up by the detainee families on Saturdays. Tom and I just dropped some off with some wipes just to kind of give them a start. They typically need the larger sizes. I am waiting to hear back about what specifics, because I know that asked about formula, and I know that's an important need. But just really bodies and having people that can rotate into all the positions, remote support, supplies, and just keeping an eye in the sky, really. It's going to take a lot of us. It's not going to be just one of us, one org. But I'm very excited to see that people are out here. Not super enthused about this open donut box we're hanging out in, but we'll make it through.
Uh, all right. Well, I do want to reiterate, anybody that goes out there to be nonviolent, do not make direct threats to ICE agents. There was the direct threat made on live, and he was arrested, as he should have been. You cannot directly threaten ICE agents' lives and their families. It's bad practice. So I want y'all to stay safe. I love you both immensely. Is there anything else that we need to know from people on the ground?
Just a request from the organizers who have been here. They are saying that even if you see opposition, that's not why we're here. They want the attention. Drown them out. Enjoy each other's comfort, and make sure that you're letting the detainees know we're here and we're speaking for them.
Use your brain.
Yes, the eyes are on the detainees. It is not on us, right? And their
Do
demands.
not center yourself.
Yes. All right. I love you guys. Stay safe out there.
Oi, oi. Much love.
Bye, guys. Um, so, oh, that's interesting. I see that comment. Thanks, Tim, for that comment. Carl, do you want to pop up here so that we can do fire for effect, because you're the only one that knows what you pulled?
Can I add though, for the suicide, for those that don't know, there's been a huge rise for suicide for ICE detainees. 10 have been reported now since January of last year, and usually they average 1 to 0 annually. So it's a really big deal, and they're still increasing the number because they're still going through the reporting of the autopsies of those that have died, and it counts, I think, for a fifth of all deaths for detainees of ICE. What?
Well, fuck.
Yeah.
I wasn't tracking that statistic.
Yeah, when he said about the suicides, I was like, oh, let me do some research, and that's why I wanted to pop up and tell you guys that that's a really big deal and pretty fucking scary. So that's a very scary statistic and increase.
Not to transition into something
Sorry.
very less,
Sorry.
and yeah, because that is serious, and I think we all need to track it. But thank you, Steph, for doing that quick research and highlighting it. I am going to let Carl take over, because next is Fire for Effect, where we do our hate mail and funny shit And Carl has some stuff for us.
Yeah, so I really wanted to see if I could get everyone to put like juice or Gatorade in their mouths for this one because I want to see reactions on live. But it's okay, we can wait. We can hold that thought for later. So what I did is instead of getting comments, I went on to Truth Social and I pulled some of President Trump's truths over the last 3 days. And I wanted to share those because, you know, Katie's reaction was absolutely hilarious. And we're going to start with this one, the greatest attraction from the good President Donald Trump, because, you know, all of the artists have dropped out of Freedom 250, the state fair that we've got going on in DC. And Donald Trump thinks that he can bring a larger crowd without a guitar than Elvis. And so this was his post to notify everyone that he is the greatest attraction in the United States of America today.
I
Try not to gag.
My eyebrow shot up. I'm just saying the eyebrow went up. That it was eyebrow worthy.
I mean, anytime you can set him up to be a narcissist, the narcissist is going to narcissist, and he did it real good there. He nailed it. It was on brand.
Well, I'm noticing all the AI slop in it, and so I'm trying to see like how many people repeat. Like that's what you like. Why you see me so close? Because I'm like,
Yeah.
how many of these humans repeat in this crowd? Yeah, that's fucking wild. Good point though, Carl. The singers are they canceled. The UFC fighters are now starting to pull out, and the gay men of the world have united to make it the gayest event ever. And so I love that during Pride Month for us.
All right, and this one is in reference to the great, big, beautiful fix to the reflecting pool.
That won't reflect anymore because it's now, yeah.
It's a flower.
Why does he have to be shirtless?
I just want to draw
Like,
attention
please.
to the moves.
What is going on with this? What is with the weird sunburn?
What is happening?
I mean,
I don't.
That can't be his body.
Listen, you don't want to admit it, but that's what peak male performance looks like. I don't know. Is that what they say?
I mean, did you see the whimsical skedaddler of the secta during PT?
Oh god, yeah, that one was hilarious. But they chose this body.
They did.
They chose this body.
I don't understand.
I also want to highlight the
That was a choice.
The user.
I swear to God, it's got to be a bot. Like I really do. Like that. It's clearly not actually a woman that has this account because I've seen it on Truth Social a lot, and it posts some wild stuff.
Yeah, that one's definitely got to be a bot. I agree.
All right, and then this one is again in reference to the event that's happening on the White House lawn. It says, I will be going to the G7 in France immediately following what will be one of the most entertaining nights in American history, the UFC World Championship fights on the South Lawn of the White House. Records indicate that whilst fights of a much lower level took place at the White House throughout its long and storied history, nothing even close to this. The greatest fighters in the world, champions all, was even thought of for the People's House, President Donald J. Trump.
Who the fuck wrote that, A? Because it's not all in caps and there's punctuation, so that was not him.
There's still some bad capitalization. Like I used to actually like capitalize things that I shouldn't have been, and I hear my old boss correcting my work with all of this. Like it's irking me so bad. Like, why does history needs to be capitalized?
I mean, the thing here's the thing. He's still no Teddy Roosevelt. He's not throwing hands in the White House. You know.
Teddy Roosevelt.
I'm just saying, didn't he get his eye knocked out? He had his eye knocked out of the socket or some shit. Throwing hands in the White House, like, come on.
Well, there was a rumor of what was it? No, it was Truman. I was thinking of Woodrow Wilson, but Truman slapped a guy in the Oval Office. There's a rumor of that.
Truman was an asshole.
Didn't Aaron Burr like kill somebody in a duel?
Hamilton.
That's who it was.
Hamilton shot Burr.
Yeah, Hamilton.
He also
there's a
tried
play
to
about
take
it.
a portion of Louisiana.
Oh, yeah, there
and
is.
turn it
I'm
into
an
his own
idiot.
kingdom.
Not gonna lose my shot, Katie.
Well, it's about shots.
Is there any truth to them trying to find people in the military that wanted to come to this?
Yes.
Oh, I've seen the application but you have to verify that you are within, height and weight regulations.
Yeah, so
I
it came
love
down.
that. Can't
Men have to
that
have a
general
37-inch waist.
What'd you just say?
A man who stands at 5 foot 8 inches tall, in order to be qualified to attend for free the free tickets, right? They still have to pay their way to get there, but they'll get the free tickets. They have to have a 37-inch waist.
I made the cut!
You're not a man.
You're not a dude.
I have been called so many times. Sometimes the cops have been called for me peeing in women's bathrooms. I'm willing to take the fucking and we're about to shave our heads.
We are. It's true.
I'm just saying, like, it would be an absolute power move to just meander into the male's bathroom and use the stand-up urinal and be like, fucking say something.
Yeah, that's true.
It's interestingly, it's never in the men's room. Like, I will walk into the men's room and, like, people will be at the urinal and I'll just use a stall and it's just like, hey, hello. And it's like this interchange. It's always women, like, and it's always a very specific demographic of women that I walk out and they're like, you're in the wrong bathroom. And I'm like, these are mine. Right? And I'm like, I will show you my vagina. And it's just like this weird interchange, and it happens. Yeah. So I know we've gotten way unhinged on this one post, but
no, I am just loving that now I know that there's going to be a screenshot from something that just happened, and I'm going to enjoy the hell out of it.
A lot, and it's so infuriating because it is just so stupid to me that it's always like an old white woman that's like, oh man, you're in the wrong bathroom, and I'm like, I'm obviously not. Like, I am obviously not.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Tim.
I definitely, in the old No Such Agency building, accidentally walked into the men's bathroom when we moved floors. Just saying, it's happened.
This is happening. This comment right here with the
oh yeah, definitely.
Like, y'all are gonna see me as a man, like just taped and just throwing it up with all the bros, being like, yeah, manosphere, I hate women. Right? Like,
dude, please just like the penciled in mustache, right? Just just yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Do some curly cues, please.
No, I want a handlebar to make it
handlebar.
Okay. Okay, Carl's like, you guys have gone off
Well,
the
it's
reservation.
the perfect time because the results of my physical examination taken at Walter Reed Military Medical Center and just released were extremely good, unlike other U.S. presidents, none of whom who have ever taken an approved high-difficulty cognitive test. I scored a perfect 30 out of 30, considered extreme intelligence. Are the Democrats really surprised? In fact, this is my fourth such test, all perfect, or 120 correct answers out of 120 questions asked. It is very rare that anyone gets a perfect score, especially when achieved 4 times in a row. All people running for president and vice president should be forced to take high-difficulty cognitive tests. Congress and the Democrats should demand it. President Donald J. Trump.
If he tests so perfectly, why does he have to keep doing it?
Okay, but wait, I just realized what fucking test he's taking.
I've taken this test.
My last student station
I have to do it every 6 months.
in Georgia, right? And they wanted to deploy me. and don't, everybody's gonna laugh. Panama City, Florida. Um, yes, I'm Air Force. So,
Not
Sorry.
bad.
deploy me to Panama City,
It's not a
Florida.
real deployment.
And,
Nope.
and oh, I know, but okay. So there was a checklist. The unit didn't. Again, I did not volunteer for this. This was an actual deployment that came down the line that had to be filled. Okay, so there was a checklist, and they didn't know what to do with me when I went to mental health because I was like, I'm deploying, and they say that I need this checklist done. This is the fucking test. I had to remember things like a bush and a camel, and yes, this is the test. Dude, the doctor asked me if I thought there were other people in the room with us. And if I thought that they could read my mind. I am not kidding you. This was the test that they gave me to decide if I could deploy to Panama City, Florida. So I'm just saying, yeah, okay.
30 out of 30.
For
30
me,
out of 30, right here.
I know this test, right? Because I saw this one, Carl, before the hand, because I read it and I made a comment on someone else's post. Is
I
that
thought I got you.
I have to do cognitive testing because of my TBI, right? And so, right, so Steph, you can attest, like we have to go through cognitive testing because they track our TBI, any progress and any differences within our cognitive abilities, and it's tied to our disability. Anyway, the fact that I have documented TBIs, have gone through speech therapy at the VA, have done medical treatments at the VA to help me function in life. He has done more tests than I have in the same period. That's required by medical doctors, right? Like I am required once a year to go get a CT scan and twice a year to go do cognitive testing. And he's been through 4. I had just did all of my brain mapping through like CT, MRI, like dyes and shit. Yeah, you should 100. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Ask your primary care doctor for the referral to a TBI specialist, by the way. You can get some really cool stuff. I'm getting a tablet from my speech therapist because of that. So, by the way.
Yeah, and I mean, like, and it's not like I'm excited for another TBI patient this event show endemically. But there is, and that's why this one, I was like, what the fuck? Because as a veteran that gets the benefits of like TBI, you know, speech therapy, of a TBI person that tracks all of my stuff for school, like this matters that he just said this to a bunch of people that have TBIs that are like, so that's not great.
Well, the crazy part is that he says that they all failed, even though the prior presidents have released their exam results, and he never has.
Yeah.
So,
I will say the most, I think for me, the best reaction tonight on this post was the fact that my husband came in and was on his way out, stopped just so that he could listen to me reciting the post, and then responded with, "Is he a fucking idiot?"
for your husband.
Listen, it's a cognitive test, not an IQ test. We will never know.
And he added that as he walked out the door. Does he not realize that it's not IQ based?
Yeah.
What trips me up on it is like he starts off physical examination and then starts talking about a cognitive test, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I mean, cool. Like it's this is a function of your body. This isn't extreme difficult intelligence. This is, does your body function? Yes or no?
And if I remember right, this test resulted in him being found to have gained 15 pounds.
Ooh, so he's up to like what, 195?
215, I think it was.
215, right?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, perfect. And he's probably got like a 30-inch waist.
Yeah.
Yeah, he meets height and weight.
Cue his tennis outfit photo, please. That's my favorite one.
And I think this is the last one. Yep, last one. Iran really wants to make a deal, and it would be a good one for the USA and those that are with us. But don't the Democrats and various seemingly unpatriotic Republicans understand that it is much tougher for me to properly do my job and negotiate when political hacks keep negatively chirping at levels never seen before over and over again? That I should move faster or move slower or go to war or not go to war or whatever. Just sit back and relax. It will all work out in the end. It always does. President DJT.
What war worked out in the end? Vietnam War, Korean War. No.
In fact, that was actually one of his direct
Was it?
problems. Is like every war that he's been in since World War II has been a blunder. You know, like
Yeah,
that's why that isn't it. That's why I wanted to rename Veterans Day to World War One Day or something like that because we haven't won any wars since then.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Why did
yeah.
he have
Chirping,
this-
chirping.
Why did
John
he have
Stewart's
this name?
take on this was hilarious. Is all I'm saying.
Oh, I didn't see it. I need to watch
Oh,
that.
it's.
I need to too.
I think it comes down to more or less he's the greatest negotiator of all time. Unless somebody is making noise, then the room has to be quiet while I do my negotiations.
So here's the thing. I can't laugh at this one because this fucking asshole, and I'm sorry, because again, we're talking about Iran, and now this
Go ahead.
fucking asshole this week, when asked specifically if the negotiations were going downhill, said he didn't even give a shit because it was getting boring anyway. And no, he didn't say shit. But I'm just saying, he said he didn't care because he was getting bored anyway. He is bored with the fucking negotiations with a country that we fucking attacked and went to war with. And so now, I'm sorry. Not what we were talking about.
Still no war
But
powers.
I just got angry again.
Yeah.
We still haven't resolved the war powers of this. We passed a resolution that has no weight behind it, right? But like he's still engaging beyond
Damn.
the 60, 90 days, whatever it is. I mean,
Yeah. But it's apparently ceasefire. So
Right.
even though they're firing each other.
So
you know,
I think
it's a ceasefire. He's firing from the seas, right?
There you go.
fuck my life.
There you go.
Fuck my life.
I really hope that we can send this election to a runoff. I dream of being everybody's problem in Congress. I really do.
I think my problem with this, right, is I have taken to watching a little bit of Israeli media, right, especially about the negotiations. And Israeli media has like staunchly said, same with like Netanyahu, Ben Gvir, like all of these people have said that they will not let the U.S. negotiate, right? Like they're not going to let us stop the war. And then he puts stuff like this out, right? And so I think the argument becomes harder and harder, like to argue against that Israel is the reason we're there. And then we all talked about the NDAA, and I'm sure we'll talk about that on Saturday's show. But, we seemingly are untying ourselves from NATO, who is our historical ally, and tying ourselves to Israel, a nation of 9 million human beings, and to the detriment to ourselves because the world hates Israel right now for what's going on. And it's not just, the war in Iran. I know that's what this is about, but it's also Lebanon, Gaza, the fact that Israel has attacked their neighbors for an extremely long fucking time. And so when shit like this is put up, I think it is just pushing. And Sam, I know you probably follow it just like I follow it. There's a schism within the Republican Party, especially among young Republicans, when it comes to funding Israel. And I think that when he goes on says things like this, it is just creating the rift further and further in the schism within the party. And I'm here for it. as a Republican. I think the schism is needed. I think our party needs to fail and reinvent itself as whatever it fucking wants, but not what it is.
So I lied. There's one more. If you want it, I can bring it up.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hopefully, this one gets some laughter.
I mean, I enjoyed the Mad magazines.
I mean, same seas.
I mean, it's better than calling him a trans person. I'll say that.
Oh, those comments were below this, so there were definitely like
Yeah.
replies that indicated that he's a trans man. Yeah, that one, this one was interesting because I had to find it after I filtered through all of his posts shouting victory about how he won or his nominations won all of their primary races. And like all I wanted to say to that point is every time Donald Trump's candidates win their primary races, they generally lose their general elections because they're so far in the right and so extreme that they're just not digestible by the general population. So it'll be interesting to see if we have elections this year. It'll be interesting to see how well that blue wave just overcomes the Trump nominations.
I'm not sleeping that night. I already know. I'm not sleeping that. I have no plans for the next day, for the Wednesday. Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that though, this is it's funny. Thank you, Carl, for bringing this one up. But
I do like that one.
I think it's hilarious of like how they tried to say he was gay, and then his girlfriend turns out to be this like endemic like Texan, like tied to like Texas history, and it's like, okay, good job. Like, I always love when shit like that backfires so splendidly. It's so amazing. I think it's funny.
Well, they also try to call him a vegan, even though he ordered a taco with eggs, but because he ordered it with potatoes, they called him a vegan. I'm like, vegans don't eat eggs.
No, wait, I'm sorry. So he was in Texas ordering like a breakfast burrito, basically, and they called him a vegan?
They called him a vegan because he ordered that.
What the fuck?
Sam.
It made no sense. I'm like, do you know what vegans are?
What is wrong with our party?
Listen. I'm not gonna lie to you. I grew up as a Republican, but I spent several years with the Reform Party. This is the closest thing in South Carolina that we have to the Reform Party, and I cannot say that once this shit is done that I will not go back home because what the fuck. I like fiscal responsibility. I like government reform.
Fiscal responsibility. Where the fuck is it?
It's not right. It's not. Is it in the room with us? It's not in the room with us. It's not in the room with us.
Now you know why I left last year. Now you know why I left.
Well, right. But again, if you want to run a serious campaign, this is the game that is presented, right? This is the you have to challenge the incumbent within their party's primary, and I'm close enough to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and so, but like, ooh man, it's been wild. I will say once again, right? I think I told y'all when my congressman's Trump 2024 flag came down and the MAGA flag went up. The MAGA flag has come down, and now just a straight up Republican flag is up. So
shocking.
You know, like it's. I think that the craziness is taking hold to the point that it's becoming untenable, which is also funny because there's a deep love of Israel in the state of South Carolina, but even that, more and more people are like, no, not for BB. BB's just a dictator.
Yeah,
Yes, I think that that is a good way to transition into what's next. And Sam, why don't you tell us what's next for your campaign, or South Carolina, like just clue us in as we go through calls to action.
Absolutely. So early voting's underway. I went out and I voted for myself today. First time. That was a little surreal. Early voting will continue in South Carolina until Friday, with Tuesday being the election. And so we'll know more as to whether or not we go to a primary. For 5051 SC, we're battling probably something that many of y'all are, the whole June 14th thing. And kind of clearing the air on that one is there's a concert that's going to occur on the 14th to offset the attention for the UFC fight that we just saw. And so like if you want to organize a watch party or something like that, that's what's going on there. But South Carolina doesn't really have events planned for that. Although because the people expect it, I don't know what's going to happen. Check your local 5051 group here in SC. But I think aside from that, yeah, continue to support all the awesome stuff. Well, we actually had that court case where the boy was leaving out the convenience store. They chased him down, shot him in the back, killed him. He was 14, and they found him not guilty. How? I do not know, but there's definitely been some protests in our area regarding that. And I didn't bring that up while we were talking to our guest, but when we talk about, what is a human life worth, right? And the politics around abortion and the fact that so many people don't give a shit to what happens to kids after that, I think that is that's an example of it. I did dumb shit whenever I was a kid. I definitely wandered around with, anyway, it's not a reason to die. It's not a reason to die, so that's kind of stuff that we're watching, trying to support our local groups. So there's plenty of activity here in the state of South Carolina. Stay tuned.
I love it. Lisa, do you want to clue us into Georgia? What's happening in your state?
Yes, sorry about that. Am I muted? No. Okay, just making sure. All right, lots going on in Georgia. We've got runoff elections going, early voting starting on the 9th, election day is on the 16th. Within 5051 spaces, we have West Georgia in Habersham County doing a veteran wall memorial fundraiser on 6/6. So they'll be hosting that, completely apolitical. It's all about just raising funds for the memorial wall for veterans there in the county. However, then we will also have a whole week of actions because the Georgia governor decided that we needed to call for a special session to discuss redistricting, of course. So we will have a whole week of actions surrounding that. The first day of the special session will be on the 17th. There will be a press conference, a rally, 3 different marches, and then another rally on the 17th alone, not counting all the other events that are going to be going on for a week surrounding the redistricting. Then, because we are in an international campaign to bring attention to the United States about the racist atrocities that are occurring here, Atlanta will be the anchor city and the kickoff for the activities that will be surrounding the FIFA Cup. So we will have a day of events the day of the first soccer tournament here in Atlanta. I think that's the 21st. Let me look. Yes, the 21st. So the 21st of June. And so we have that going on. And then, of course, we have the National Day of Action on the 27th. We are also completely ignoring June 14th. because we have too much shit going on in Georgia right now and don't have time to deal with the sing-along. So that's where we're at here in Georgia.
Georgia is always busy as fuck. Yeah. So I do want to go through a list. I made a list for myself, so if I look this way, it's because I don't want to fuck shit up. D-Day is 6/6. It is Democracy Day for veterans, right? So it's like really, last year we chose to do something as 50-51 vets. This year we're planning something different, but it's not for D-Day. So D-Day this year is being done by Visibility Brigade, besides Lisa's events in North Georgia, which I hope that you go to. I believe her name is Danielle. I don't want to fuck that up. She's amazing. Please do that. But across the country, Visibility Brigade is doing a Democracy Day drop, overpass drop. We have talked to them, I believe, but yes, that is happening on 6/6. Next is Good Trouble Lives On, right? So that is something that you can look up. The links are everywhere. There is a meeting for this. I'm trying to not fuck it up. I believe it's tomorrow. Please look that up. This is the I fucked that one up. Good Trouble Lives On is, yes, so do that. Next is 6/27, which Lisa said, which is All of Us, which is a National Day of Action that is across the country. One of the asks that one of our partner orgs has made, Country Over Party, please look at their website. They are trying to lobby and target very specific representatives for impeachment and commitments to go lobby and bird dog those individuals in their districts. So please look at their websites. That is Country Over Party. So I also want to address the 614 issue because 50-51 Florida, I live in Jacksonville, is also dealing with it. Jacksonville has seen it. No. It just no, right? Like I've seen multiple people, like Indivisible, No Kings, like a bunch of people have made comments on it. Like, no, it is a watch party. If you want to do that, rally about it. Cool. But other announcements, this Sunday is a Veterans Against Fascism meeting. It is always at 1700. We encourage you to attend this one. It is very important for details and information. There will be an announcement made tomorrow that I want everybody to watch out for across the veteran community of what's next for veterans that are organizing together and organizing power together. What are we doing? Next moves. So Sunday is the next Veterans Against Fascism meeting. And of course, we always have episodes, but Lisa, will you please explain our special episode that is happening and why we're weird about money and why we're asking people for money for once?
Yes. Okay. Hi. Surprise. She surprised me with this, but that's okay because it will roll right into our safety brief, which we are very close to needing to go into. So on Tuesday, we will be having a special edition smoke pit. And it will be specifically to raise funds for Hunter 7 Foundation, which is a veteran-run foundation that focuses on education and policy surrounding veterans with toxic exposure. We are doing this because I have been diagnosed with breast cancer. I have had my surgery and I am going through my chemo sessions now. That chemo is making me lose my hair. So on Tuesday, there are several of us who are going to be shaving our heads live. We're going to talk a little bit about the VA. We're going to talk a little bit about cancer statistics amongst military veterans, and we're going to shave our heads and hopefully raise some money for the Hunter 7 Foundation, which focuses again on veterans who have been exposed to all kinds of toxins, which will also be a conversation on Tuesday. So I hope that you guys join us. Again, we'll be shaving our heads and we'll be trying to raise funds for the Hunter 7 Foundation. Please go and look them up if you haven't heard of them. They're doing great work. And with that note, I'm going to kick off the safety brief with know your body, do your checks, especially your monthly Tata checks, and do your preventatives like your annual mammograms. And I'm going to send it back to Katie.
And I'll continue. So safety brief, just quick what it is. Every Friday, normally close of business, leaders in the military give their underlings a safety brief of how not to be degenerates. As veterans, we're still degenerates most of the time. Everything in this safety brief has happened, and so that's why it's been added. Because everything gets added to the safety brief after it happens. So Lisa kicked us off with please do your self-exams, right, ladies. But men, I learned during a safety brief, you also have to check yourself. That was the weird safety brief I learned that on. But yeah, do your shit too. Also, do not beat your spouse, child, or your pet. Eat an actual meal. Gas station snacks, nicotine and caffeine do not count. Drink water like you mean it. Half of your bad mood's dehydration, and it's summer, and most of us live in the southeast, and we will die without water. So, therefore, drink it. Get some sleep. Nothing good happens after 02, except Waffle House and regret. And if you go to the Waffle House, you better know how to fist fight. If you've been running like hard for weeks, though, because a lot of us have, like, make sure you take rest, get out of this space, touch grass, spend time with people you like. Generally, it doesn't have to be your spouse, but like spend like with somebody you're not going to argue with, right? De-stress yourself. Lisa has been kayaking. We've been living vicariously through Lisa. Take all of your meds, like every single one. Like, and I am directly talking to veterans. I suck at it. We are like, oh, we take half the bottle because we start to feel fucking great. Take every fucking pill, all right? Like every pill of the bottle. And make your appointments. Make your appointments, okay? If your mind is getting dark, please reach out and talk to somebody. Everybody sitting here has probably, I don't even have to ask, has lost somebody to suicide. Guarantee it. 100%. And so, a lot of us don't sleep well because we don't take all of our meds. And so, if you are getting dark, please message our page. A lot of us have access to our page, and we don't sleep well. And so we will answer you and chat with you. In the same vein, don't drink and drive. I will personally pay for your Uber. All you have to do is reach out to us. I am sober. I'm not like preaching sobriety. It's not for everybody. What I am preaching is don't fucking drink and drive. It is selfish. There's Ubers, there's Lyfts, there's all sorts of shit to get you the fuck home so you don't kill somebody. And if you can't afford it, we'll fucking pay for it. Right? So, in your drunken stupor, message our page. Like, we'll figure it out. We'll geolocate your ass. We will figure that shit out. I promise you. She said, do all your self-checks. So, stretch. I stretch every morning. We're not 22 anymore. Shit hurts when we sleep wrong. Okay? So, stretch. Put your dog on a leash. Your friendly baby is not friendly like to everybody. It will kill somebody else's pet. And it happened to one of our board members. So, fuck you. Leash your pet. Do not fight wildlife. Definitely geese. They have tenure. Just don't do it. If it hisses, charges, or has antlers, only white women can tame that shit. So if you're not a white woman,
don't try to tame it. And if you are a white woman, think about it, right? Like, I have seen foxes and shit. And like, hey, look at my new puppy, and it's a fox. So like, check with your husband or your spouse or your partner before you like pick up random shit and tame it, right? Like, just, Jesus, white women. Scooters are not transportation. They are, but not in packs. We learned this the hard way. If you're going to travel by scooter, onesies or twosies, not cavalry mount style, you will get run over by a vehicle. Ask Carl. Do absolutely participate in barter systems, however, involving coffee grounds, marijuana plants, and watermelon plants. And if you find the plants later on the sidewalk and you pick them up immediately, it's raccoon behavior, and we highly approve of this. Continue to do it. All right. Emotional support potatoes are fully authorized by us. We think you should carry them proudly. Thank you, Lindsay Knapp, for mine. It's on my desk at work. Do not buy animals on the black market to prove policy points. They do have to have homes after. Think that through, right? And showing up to zoos in military uniforms with wild animals is not how you donate animals to the zoo. They frown upon it. Okay. Also, do not build a golden calf. Just don't. Like, I'm not exactly sure, but just don't. It made it to the safety brief. Okay. Make good decisions. If unable, make survivable ones. And if neither is possible, make legendary ones. And film that shit and send it to us. We'll absolutely highlight it on this, right? Like, we'll highlight it during Fire for Effect, right? We love that shit. All right. Last thing is, our oath is not only to the Constitution, it's to the people of this country, right? So a lot of us are out going, doing actions. You heard the list. It was kind of haphazard. I'll make it structured. I'm sure Carl is thinking, Jesus Christ, these people don't know how to give a list of events. But as veterans, our oath is to the Constitution, right? Like, it's not only to that, it's to the people around us. While we're out doing this activism, advocacy work, there is vulnerable people to our left and our right, right? And we need to look to the left and the right. As we see at Delaney Hall, they are escalating violence. They're escalating the use of chemical agents. They're escalating the use of force against elderly, women, children, whomever. So, therefore, as veterans, it's our duty to protect those people to our left and our right. That includes using our body. Not like everybody. I'm not saying like the disabled vets go jump out there. I'm saying people like me, like, please go protect the people in this country, right? Everybody is scared. People are looking to veterans for leadership, and that is something that we are very good at. And so utilize that leadership to protect the people to your left and your right. And we will see you on Saturday. I appreciate all of our guests. This Saturday is a news roundup. I'm sure we will be. It is not.
No.
It is. Oh no, it's not. We're having Coretta.
Soretta.
Fuck, I fucked
Soretta
that.
Smith. Yes, we will have Soretta Smith, who's running for Georgia District 12.
It starts with a C. I'm sorry. I'm phonetic. But yeah, like, no, yeah, you are right. I am very excited about this because she has been trying to get on with us. And so, yeah, that is right.
And she actually joined us back in the OSKM days. That's how I initially met her locally.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. She got press out to our events. She is a big OSKM. Yeah. That's how I know her from.
I'm even more excited and even more sad that I fucked up her name. Like, sorry, I won't fuck it up on Saturday. But yeah, no, I am excited. I am actually very genuinely excited about this because she has reached out to us a few times to get on the show. And so, yeah, please see us on Saturday. Sam, we will be watching your primary and wish you
All the best. I hope you fucking kill it, my guy. And we love you. So, everybody, thank you for watching. We hope you tune in on Saturday for Soretta and then Tuesday for us shaving our heads for Lisa because I am absolutely over my hair and can't wait to raise some money for a good cause. So, everybody have a lovely night. Thank you for tuning in.